Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with the TDI Swapped Weekender. This episode we're going down to Lake Murray State Park in Oklahoma, and then after we're going down to Dallas to hang out with some family for a crawfish boil. This is going to be the first trip with the van under its own power, and I gotta say, it did pretty good. Just made it out to the lake. It was about a 2-hour drive in the van. Bus did great. It doesn't have a radiator fan wired in right now, but the temp stayed around 200 to 205, but it would drop right back down and do great. Headed back to the campsite now. Gonna start setting up camp and make some food. Just got camp set up. Took quite a while, but got the AC unit in there. I forgot the seal for it, so we had to make one out of tape. Grayson's bed is set up, my bed's set up, and those two are just relaxing, watching their show. Pretty big storm just rolled through. A little bit windy, but the tent stayed dry. Bus was good. We just hung out inside and waited for it to blow past. Now that it has, we're gonna go ride some bikes, hang out. Going for a little run down to the park headquarters. Might have made a bad call getting off the paved roads because it is swampy out here. Trails are very poorly marked on this entire trail system. Made it about 3 miles to the visitor center and then turned around, and I'm just gonna follow the GPS back, but very pretty trail. I wish they did a little bit more maintenance on it, because it would be great. We are leaving camp right now. Bus fired up great this morning. And drive down to Dallas now. We broke down. The alternator is not putting out a charge, and the computer is not liking it. Battery right now is sitting at about 9 volts. So luckily we brought a spare battery with us that's pretty charged up. If we just hook them both together, we'll be able to make it down to Dallas, or at least somewhere we can charge the battery up. We are back on the road. See how long this one lasts us. The last one lasted 2.5 hours, 3 hours, so. Just got to the parts store. I'm gonna go buy a battery charger. And we parked next to this other dub. Van's all loaded up, and we are leaving Dallas. First we gotta stop at a bookstore so Taylor can get her fix. Right, little baby? So far, the van's doing good. Rear brakes are putting off a lot of brake gunk. So when we get back, we'll have to check that. Highways down here are very loud. So you gotta keep the windows up or you will go deaf. And it's 91 degrees out today, so going deaf might be all right.
You want to sell it?
What?
You want to sell it?
No, no. Thank you. All right. Just made it to Buc-ee's. Some lady tried to buy my van. Scoot around them. Head up to Oklahoma. Made it back. It's a long drive, about 3 hours. Van did pretty good. I'm gonna unload it and then go through and check everything and talk about what repairs we have to make. It sounds pretty happy and it ran great. All right, so it's the next day. Last night we had some storms roll through, so I put off unloading the van until today. But today we got beautiful weather, so we'll go over what went wrong with the van and what I want to improve on for the next trips. This trip was pretty last minute and it was over 500 miles, so for the van just getting us down there and back reliably was a big win in my books. The first thing I want to get done is installing all this sound deadening. I bought this before we left on the trip, but it didn't come in time. I've got about 30 square foot of this sound deadening and then 100 square foot of this thinner stuff. Everywhere in the van is already sound deadened besides the engine bay. So when the engine bay burned up, it also cooked all the sound deadening. So I'm gonna come back, starting with this stuff. It's like 230 mil, so it's about a 1/4 inch thick, which is the same height as all these little ribs. So I'll cut this into strips and put it down the ribs, and then I'll come back over with this, which is a Be Quiet brand, 60 mil thick, and pretty high quality stuff that I'll come over and just cover all the Silas insulation. So the van itself really wasn't that loud. The engine was pretty muffled with all the gear we had packed on top of it. But the big noise problem came from having the windows open. So it was hot, it was about 90 degrees down in Texas, and we had to leave the windows open. Highway is just crazy loud. So one of my big priorities now is to get the AC hooked back up. So I just have to get an AC shop to re-plumb that in so we can have AC. Another problem we ran into down here was the engine was running pretty hot. It was around 200 to 205 degrees for really the entire trip. I think most of that is due to the intercooler. The intercooler is not set up in an ideal location, so I think I'm going to rework that and maybe make some sort of scoop that forces air through the intercooler. Even with the alternator completely out and not charging the bus, we were able to make it home about 4.5 hours of driving with this Optima red top battery. We charged it the night before we left and had absolutely no problems. This was more of just an annoyance, but the power steering pump does not work. So I'm gonna have to replace the pump and put that belt back on. But that was really it. The trip went great, we had a blast. And our next trip on the books right now is the Port of Catoosa up north of Tulsa. It's a little Volkswagen show. All the benefits go to the Oklahoma Burn Center. So really great show, super fun. And that is coming up in a few weeks.